Good morning, good people. There is no greater project on this earth than the project called you. Before you change the world, before you lead others, before you succeed in business or relationships, you must first work on yourself. You are the foundation upon which your future is built. Purpose is the original reason for your existence. It is not something you invent. It is something you uncover. Every product is created with a purpose in mind, and so were you. You are not here by accident. You are not a mistake. You are a solution to a problem, born with intention and designed with destiny in mind. But the tragedy is that most people never take the time to ask the question, why am I here? They work, they eat, they sleep, they follow trends and chase approval. But deep inside, they're empty. That emptiness is not depression. It's not laziness. It is the void that forms when a person lives without meaning. You see, purpose gives you direction, it gives you clarity. Without it, you become busy but not effective. You run fast, but you don't know where you're going. You react to life instead of designing it. Purpose is not a career, it's not a role. It's not about being a doctor, a teacher, a CEO, or an artist. Those are assignments. Purpose is deeper than that. Purpose is the problem you were born to solve. The burden you carry, the solution that only your life can provide. If you want to start working on yourself, begin with discovering why you exist, and to find it, you must look inside, not outside. Stop waiting for someone to tell you who you are. The manufacturer always puts the purpose inside the product, not on the label. This is why no matter how much praise or criticism you receive from the outside, it cannot define your identity. That's why you can have money, followers, and success, but still feel lost. Because purpose is not found in success. Purpose produces success, but success without purpose is just noise. To discover purpose, you must silence the distractions around you and listen to the quiet voice within you. It's in your passions, in your frustrations, in your deepest questions. What moves you? What angers you? What need do you see in the world that breaks your heart? These are clues. Purpose is not always loud. Sometimes it whispers. It's hidden beneath your childhood dreams, your natural strengths, your recurring thoughts. What are the things you've been drawn to since you were young, even before people told you who to be? That's purpose knocking on the door of your spirit. Most people bury their purpose beneath the expectations of others. They trade it for security. They silence it for the sake of acceptance. But I'm here to tell you, you'll never be truly fulfilled until you live from that place of purpose. Your true self is waiting for permission to rise. That's why life seems heavier when you ignore it. Purpose is the fuel your soul runs on. When you operate in purpose, energy flows, clarity comes, peace becomes your default. Not because life is easy, but because you know why you're doing it. Working on yourself begins when you start asking the right questions. Don't ask what job makes the most money. Ask what problem was I born to solve. Don't ask what's trending right now. Ask what impact was I designed to make. This shift will take you out of the race of comparison and plant you firmly on the road of conviction. You will stop chasing validation and start carrying vision. That's when transformation begins. Purpose is powerful. It simplifies your life. It tells you what to say yes to and what to walk away from. It removes confusion. When you know who you are, you don't have to imitate anyone else. You stop measuring your value by other people's opinions or timelines. Purpose sets you free from competition. You are not in a race with anyone else because nobody else can be you. The moment you get serious about your purpose, everything else begins to shift. Your habits change, your attitude adjusts, your priorities become clearer, and slowly but surely your life begins to align with who you were created to be. That is the beginning of self-mastery. So if you want to truly work on yourself, don't start with what you're doing. Start with why you're here, because when you understand the reason for your existence, you don't waste your existence. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're supposed to become. It is the muscle of personal growth. Without discipline, your dreams are only fantasies. It doesn't matter how passionate, how talented, how anointed, or how intelligent you are. Without discipline, nothing truly takes root. Discipline is the engine that turns vision into reality. It's the daily grind, the silent choices, the consistent effort behind closed doors that nobody claps for. Yet that is where transformation is born. The truth is, most people don't lack motivation, they lack discipline. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings change. You feel inspired one day, and the next day you feel tired, doubtful, or distracted. But discipline doesn't care how you feel. It shows up regardless. It chooses long-term growth over short-term comfort. Discipline says, I made a decision, and I will honor it whether I feel like it or not. If you're going to work on yourself, you must train your mind to obey your decisions, not your emotions. You cannot allow your feelings to lead your life. They're real, yes, but they're not always true. Feelings lie. They tell you to quit when you're almost there. They tell you to eat what you swore you'd stop eating. They whisper excuses in your ear and call them reasons. But discipline tells the truth. It says, this is who you are. This is what you said. Now let's move. That's power. You see, discipline is not punishment. It's protection. It guards your destiny. It creates structure for your gift to grow inside. Without it, even the best parts of you can go to waste. It's not enough to be gifted. You must be guided. Discipline creates habits, and habits shape identity. What you do consistently becomes who you are permanently. Look at the great ones, those who left a mark in their field, in history, in hearts. They weren't necessarily the most talented, but they were committed. They showed up when others quit. They practiced when others partied. They studied when others slept. Discipline gave them an edge that talent alone never could. Because talent can impress for a moment, but discipline earns respect for a lifetime. Self-discipline starts with small choices. Waking up when you said you would, finishing what you started, saying no to what steals your time, turning off distractions and tuning into your calling. It's in the little things, the consistent, often boring daily steps that build unstoppable momentum. You can't always control the big moments, but you can control your small decisions, and enough small decisions done with discipline create a life of excellence. It's important to understand that discipline is not natural. It is trained. You must build it like a muscle, and like any muscle, the more you use it, the stronger it becomes. At first, it feels uncomfortable, your mind resists, your body complains, but keep going. Push past the excuses. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of that resistance. A version that's sharper, stronger, more focused, more fulfilled. One of the greatest lies the world has sold us is that freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That's not freedom. That's bondage with a pretty name. True freedom comes from discipline. It means you are no longer a slave to cravings, to impulses, to every shiny distraction that calls your name. Discipline puts you in the driver's seat of your life. When you develop discipline, you stop needing external pressure. You become self-driven. You don't wait for the clock. You create your own schedule. You don't wait for someone to push you. You pull yourself forward. That's how leaders are made. That's how visionaries are shaped. And that's how you rise from average to extraordinary. Working on yourself means choosing growth when comfort is available. It means training your appetites to submit to your assignment. It means being able to tell yourself, no, not now, or yes, even though it's hard. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. And every day you show up with discipline, you build trust with yourself. That trust turns into confidence, and confidence becomes momentum, and momentum changes everything. So if you're serious about your growth, if you truly want to level up your life, then master this truth. You cannot rise without rules. You cannot fly without form. Discipline doesn't restrict your freedom. It activates your power. And that power, once harnessed, will take you further than talent, luck, or charm ever could. You can only grow to the level of your understanding. Your life rises or falls based on the quality of your knowledge. What you don't know can hurt you, delay you, and keep you bound. Many people are stuck, not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack understanding. They keep repeating cycles not because they are weak, but because they have not learned how to break them. Ignorance is not innocence, it is a trap. If you want to work on yourself, you must become a student of life. You must treat learning like a sacred assignment. There is a difference between information and wisdom. Information fills your head, wisdom transforms your decisions. We live in a time where knowledge is everywhere. We have devices in our pockets that can pull up facts in seconds. But access to information is not the same as transformation. What changes you is not what you know, but what you understand and apply. The purpose of knowledge is not to impress, it's to equip. Growth doesn't come from consumption. It comes from comprehension. That's why working on yourself means becoming intentional about what you feed your mind. You cannot fill your mind with noise and expect to hear clarity. You cannot scroll your way to wisdom. Real growth requires focused attention. It means taking time to read, to study, to reflect. It means valuing books more than trends. It means choosing depth over distraction. If you want to rise above where you are, you have to start learning above the level you live at now. You must become addicted to learning, not out of fear, but out of hunger. The most dangerous people in the world are those who think they already know enough. Pride blocks progress. The humble always learn. They ask questions. They seek out mentors. They listen deeply. They admit what they don't know, not to be weak, but to become stronger. You can only receive wisdom when you have the humility to know you need it. Learning is not something you do in school, it's a lifestyle. You must study yourself, study your patterns, study your habits. Study your mistakes, study your victories, study people, study your craft, study your calling. Life is always teaching. If you're willing to pay attention, every setback has a lesson. Every season has something to teach. But most people miss it because they are too distracted or too discouraged to reflect. The key is not just to gather knowledge, but to seek understanding, understand how things work, understand cause and effect. Understand timing, understand people, understand yourself. Wisdom is the ability to apply what you know in the right way, at the right time, for the right reasons. That's where power lives. You must also be careful where you get your knowledge. Not all voices carry wisdom, not all teachers are trustworthy. Guard what you allow into your mind, protect your learning space. Find voices that challenge you, not just entertain you. Look for mentors who have fruit, not just fame. Sit under people whose life is evidence of what they teach. The source of your knowledge is just as important as the knowledge itself. Reading books should not be an option. It should be part of your routine. Books carry the minds of mentors you may never meet. In a few hours, you can gain the wisdom someone spent 40 years learning through trial, error, and pain. Reading gives you an advantage. It gives you language for your thoughts. It sharpens your mind. It helps you think clearly, speak effectively, and act decisively. If you want to lead, you must read. Working on yourself means never letting your mind go stagnant. Just as your body needs movement to stay healthy, your mind needs stretching to stay sharp. Every time you read, reflect, or learn something new, you are building intellectual muscle. That muscle will carry you through difficult decisions, elevate your conversations, and empower your vision. Remember, knowledge is an investment. It may cost you time, attention, or resources, but the return is immeasurable. Knowledge opens doors that hustle alone never could. It puts you in rooms your background could not. It equips you to handle what others fear. And most of all, it gives you the wisdom to manage the very thing you've been praying for. Your environment is shaping you, whether you realize it or not. You are becoming what you're around. Every conversation, every relationship, every place you consistently step into, it's either building you or breaking you. It's either pulling you closer to your purpose or dragging you further from it. If you want to grow, you can't just focus on what's inside you. You have to pay attention to what surrounds you. The right soil is just as important as the seed. You can be full of potential, but if you're planted in the wrong place, nothing will grow. People matter. Not everyone is meant to walk with you forever. Some people were assigned to your past, not your future. And if you keep dragging them into seasons they were never meant for, they will sabotage your progress. Loyalty is a beautiful thing, but loyalty without discernment becomes self-sabotage. You have to learn to assess your circle, who around you sharpens your thinking, who stretches your vision, who corrects you when you drift. If everyone around you simply agrees with you, claps for you, or drains you, then you're not in a healthy environment, you're in a comfort zone, and comfort zones kill growth. You must also evaluate the atmosphere you keep. Is it full of negativity, gossip, fear, distraction? An atmosphere doesn't need to be loud to be toxic. Sometimes it's just the quiet, consistent pressure to settle. Sometimes it's the unspoken belief that ambition is too much, that dreams are childish, that discipline is unnecessary. If you stay in that kind of environment long enough, you'll begin to lower your standards just to keep the peace. But your peace should never come at the cost of your purpose. It takes courage to protect your space. People might call you distant. They might not understand why you're not as available as you used to be, but you're not being rude. You're being responsible. You're not avoiding people. You're guarding your future. When you truly start working on yourself, you become more selective, not out of pride, but out of wisdom, because growth requires focus, and focus cannot survive in chaos. Sometimes the hardest thing to let go of isn't what's bad, but what's familiar. Just because someone's been in your life a long time doesn't mean they're still good for your journey. Some people are attached to your history, not your destiny. And no matter how much you love them, you cannot carry dead weight and expect to fly. Growth will demand separation, not to shame others, but to protect the part of you that is still becoming. Guarding your environment also means being intentional about what you consume, the music you listen to, the content you watch, the words you hear. Every input creates an output. Your thoughts are shaped by what you feed your mind. Your language is influenced by what you constantly hear. Your energy is impacted by what you focus on. You cannot entertain confusion and expect clarity. You cannot feed on drama and expect peace. You cannot live in noise and expect direction. You must begin to curate your atmosphere like your future depends on it, because it does. Create spaces that inspire you, find voices that challenge you, build habits that support you, speak words that strengthen you, listen to people who feed your faith, not your fear. Spend time in places that remind you of where you're going, not just where you've been. If you want to elevate your life, you must first elevate your environment. Even Jesus had to clear out a room before performing miracles. Sometimes, before something powerful can happen in your life, you must remove the wrong energy from the space. This is not personal, it's spiritual. You don't owe access to everyone. Access is earned through alignment. Just because someone is good doesn't mean they're good for you. Even good people can become distractions if they're not assigned to your direction. The more serious you become about growth, the less tolerance you'll have for environments that don't reflect your values. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. You're choosing wholeness over convenience, vision over comfort, purpose over popularity. And when your environment starts to match your intention, you'll begin to grow in ways you never imagined. Responsibility is not a burden, it's the birthplace of power. Until you take full responsibility for your life, you will always find a way to blame, complain, or explain why things aren't changing. Growth begins the moment you say, "No one else is responsible for my future but me." That single decision is where transformation starts. As long as you're pointing at others, you're giving away your authority. But when you point at yourself, not with shame but with strength, you reclaim the power to choose, to change, to grow. Nothing matures you faster than owning your life. Owning your decisions, owning your patterns, owning your healing, even the things that weren't your fault. What happened to you, what they did, what you didn't get still require your response. You may not be responsible for how the fire started, but you are responsible for how you rise from the ashes. Life will not wait for your excuses to expire. It moves forward with or without your participation. And if you want to become everything you were created to be, you must stop waiting to be rescued and start deciding to rebuild. Taking responsibility doesn't mean pretending you have all the answers. It means refusing to be passive. It means showing up. It means taking action even when it's uncomfortable. Most people are waiting for someone to come along and give them permission to start. But responsibility doesn't wait, it moves. It says, If no one opens the door, I'll build one. It says, if I failed, I'll learn. If I lost, I'll recover. If I'm stuck, I'll shift. Responsibility removes the victim mindset, and when the victim dies, the leader is born. There is a freedom that comes with owning your choices. You begin to realize that your life is not the result of random circumstances. It's a reflection of your decisions. Your patterns have consequences. Your words have weight. Your habits shape your future. And when you stop blaming the system, the economy, your parents, your past, or your pain, something incredible happens. You start to see solutions. You start to activate your creativity. You start to take small steps that create big change. Responsibility also means refusing to outsource your emotional well-being. It is not the world's job to make you happy. It is not your partner's job to complete you. It is not your friend's job to validate you. You are responsible for your healing, for your peace, for your attitude. Yes, life can hurt. Yes, people can fail you. But you get to choose how you respond. You get to choose whether you carry bitterness or break it, whether you repeat the pattern or rewrite it, whether you build walls or build wisdom. Healing is your responsibility, even if the damage wasn't your fault. When you embrace responsibility, you also stop hiding behind your potential. Potential is dangerous when it becomes a place to hide from action. Many people never become great, not because they couldn't, but because they never committed. They live in the fantasy of what could be instead of the discipline of what must be. Responsibility demands that you turn potential into performance, that you activate your calling with consistency, that you stop rehearsing what you're capable of and start proving it through character, effort, and results. Responsibility is not glamorous and it's not always visible. It happens in the background. It looks like showing up when you're tired, studying when it's boring, serving when no one claps, apologizing when it's hard, growing when it hurts. That's the real work. That's the grind that no one sees but everyone benefits from. And the more responsibility you take, the more trusted you become. Responsibility builds credibility, and credibility creates opportunity. The truth is, you can't lead others until you learn to lead yourself. You can't demand change in the world until you change the world within you. Responsibility is the foundation of leadership, not a title, not a spotlight, not a position, but the willingness to carry the weight of your own life with humility, focus, and action. This is the moment where the excuses end and the ownership begins. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop expecting someone else to fix it. Stop thinking that life owes you anything. Life has already given you something powerful. Now it's your turn to do something with it. Own your role, own your journey, own your future, because no one can carry your calling but you. Emotions are powerful. They are real. They are raw. They are human. But they are not meant to be your master. One of the greatest signs of maturity is the ability to feel deeply, yet respond wisely. If you're going to grow, lead, build, and fulfill your purpose, you cannot allow your emotions to run your life. You must learn to feel them, process them, and then lead them. Otherwise, you will live your life in reaction mode, pushed, pulled, and controlled by every trigger, every mood, and every pressure. Most people don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they were driven by an untrained emotion at the wrong time. They quit in anger. They spoke in pride. They made decisions in fear. They acted out of jealousy. They ignored wisdom because of shame. Emotions are supposed to be signals, not steering wheels. They're indicators, not dictators. When you let emotions lead, logic gets silenced, purpose gets blurred, and consequences get ignored. The right decision in the wrong mood becomes the wrong move. Mastering your emotions doesn't mean ignoring them. It doesn't mean pretending you're fine when you're breaking inside. It means acknowledging how you feel without letting those feelings hijack your values. It means recognizing when you're triggered and choosing to pause instead of explode. It means taking time to ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Instead of being a slave to the first impulse. Silence is often more powerful than a loud reaction, and a calm response is often more transformational than a passionate outburst. Your emotions are messengers. Anger might be pointing to injustice. Sadness might be revealing a place you need to heal. Fear might be showing you where you lack preparation. Guilt might be asking you to realign with your values. But here's the key. Once you receive the message, you must make the decision. You don't live by the emotion. You live by truth, and truth does not waver. It doesn't shift when the mood changes. It doesn't bend to pressure. Truth remains, and maturity means learning how to return to truth even when your emotions are screaming. There will be moments when you're overwhelmed, when you want to react, when everything in you wants to slam the door, send the message, post the status, walk away, or say something you can't take back. But in that moment, you must ask, is this emotion worth the consequence? Not every feeling deserves an action. Not every storm inside you needs to be expressed outside of you. Just because something feels urgent doesn't mean it's wise. Learning to hold back a reaction can often save relationships, reputations, and futures. You cannot grow if your emotions are always in control, because growth requires discomfort, and discomfort triggers emotions. Insecurity, doubt, frustration, but if you run every time you feel pressure, you'll never break through. Emotional mastery allows you to stay in the process. It allows you to finish the assignment, to continue the discipline. To forgive again, to love again, to build even when it's hard. If you only move when you feel like it, your life will be limited by your mood swings. This also applies to your self-perception. Emotions can lie to you about who you are. One bad day, one failure, one comment, and suddenly you believe you're not good enough. You start telling yourself stories that were never meant to be your truth. If you don't master those inner voices, they will shape your identity. You'll shrink when you're meant to rise. You'll hide when you're called to lead. But when you master your emotions, you begin to speak to your soul instead of listening to everything it says. That doesn't mean you won't feel deeply. In fact, the most emotionally mature people often feel the most, but they've trained their responses. They've built emotional discipline. They know how to create space between feeling and action. They don't let a moment of pain create a lifetime of regret. They've learned how to let emotions flow through them instead of control them. That's strength. That's growth. That's what working on yourself truly looks like. Because at the end of the day, life will test you. People will offend you. Pressure will rise. But if your spirit is steady, your decisions will be solid. And when you can lead yourself through emotional storms, you become the kind of person who can lead others with clarity and grace. Everything that is created was designed to stay connected to its source in order to function. A tree draws its strength, life, and stability from the soil. A fish thrives only in water. You remove either one from its source and it dies. Sometimes instantly, sometimes slowly, but the end is the same. You were not created to live disconnected. Your strength, your clarity, your peace, your purpose, they all flow from the source that made you. To try and live without that connection is to live a life of depletion, confusion, and misalignment. It may look successful on the surface, but it will always feel shallow underneath. The world today is full of activity, full of noise, full of movement, but lacking depth. Everyone is in a rush to perform, to impress, to gain, to hustle. But performance without connection is empty. Hustle without grounding is anxiety. A full schedule with an empty soul is not progress. It's collapse in slow motion. You were never meant to create your own power. You were designed to draw it. And when you lose that connection to your source, you begin to depend on everything else to sustain you. People, applause, money, titles, image. And all of those things eventually break down. They are temporary, they shift, but your source does not. Connection to the source means staying in tune with the one who created you. It means prioritizing intimacy over image, time in stillness over time in the spotlight, listening over speaking. It's not just about religion. It's not a checklist. It's a lifestyle. It's knowing where your strength comes from and returning to that place daily, not just when you're desperate. If you only pray when you're in crisis, then crisis will become the only time you're aligned. But when your connection becomes consistent, your peace becomes constant, even in chaos. When you're connected, things that used to break you now build you. Challenges become opportunities for deeper trust. Delays become training grounds for patience, rejection becomes redirection, and storms become reminders of who's still in control. That connection doesn't eliminate struggle, it anchors you in it. It gives you an unshakable core that allows you to walk into rooms with confidence, handle pressure with grace, and make decisions with clarity. Your gift may open the door, but staying connected keeps your character strong enough to stay there. Without that inner alignment, the outer success will eventually crush you, because talent without guidance becomes arrogance, ambition without submission becomes destruction. But when you stay connected to your source, you are constantly reminded that you are not your gift, you are a vessel. That humility grounds you, it frees you, it protects you from the temptation to perform for approval or compete for validation. In moments of confusion, your connection brings direction. When life doesn't make sense, your connection provides perspective. When you feel empty, it refills you. When you're tempted to quit, it reminds you of why you started. This is the place where your identity is affirmed, not by what you do, but by who you are. You stop living for attention and start living from intention. You stop chasing what fades and start building what lasts. Staying connected also sharpens your discernment. Not every opportunity is from the right source. Not every open door is your assignment. Not every voice deserves your attention. When you're grounded, you begin to recognize the difference between a distraction and a divine direction. You stop reacting to everything and start responding with wisdom. You don't rush decisions. You wait, you pray, you listen. That's how you move in power without striving. That's how you walk in purpose without burnout. This connection must be protected. Life will always try to pull you away from it. Busyness will try to replace stillness. Achievements will try to replace alignment. People will demand access to your time and energy, but you must guard that sacred space. You must be willing to say no to noise so you can say yes to wisdom. You must protect your soul the way you protect your brand, your plans, your assets, because everything that flows from your life comes from that hidden place. If the root dies, the fruit won't last. If you want to truly work on yourself, this is not optional. You can build without connection, but you can't be sustained without it. Eventually, everything external will be tested. Only what's rooted will remain, so go deeper, stay connected. Not just on Sundays, not just when life falls apart, but every day in stillness, in truth, in prayer, in surrender. Because the best version of you is the one who stays grounded in the one who formed you. You are the greatest project you will ever work on. Before you try to build a brand, build your character. Before you chase a platform, strengthen your foundation. The future you're dreaming of is not waiting on more luck, more applause, or more chances. It's waiting on you, a wiser you, a more disciplined you, a more grounded, focused, emotionally mature, purpose-aligned version of you. You were not born to simply exist. You were born to become, and becoming requires work, internal work, silent work, deep work, the kind that no one sees but everyone feels, the kind that transforms not just what you do, but who you are. So take responsibility, guard your mind, surround yourself wisely, lead your emotions, feed your spirit, and never stop learning, never stop listening, never stop growing. Because when you work on yourself, you don't just change your life, you shift generations after you. You are not waiting on the world is waiting on you, whole, healed, and walking in your purpose. Now go become everything you were created to be.